I'm your Huckleberry. Welcome back to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest, home of the Gold Bucket, a weekly podcast where movie enthusiasts, ex-movie theater projectionists, new and old friends take the time to talk about a movie that we just watched and answer that very question, should or shouldn't you watch this? I want to extend a dusty, hot, Wild West welcome to my Huckleberry, Mr. Sacklunch.
I am your Huckleberry. I'm anybody's Huckleberry. Excited to finish this one up. I mean, there was... Week one was just jam-packed with a lot of goodies. So excited to finish this off.
Yeah, me too. Justice is coming. The exciting conclusion to Tombstone from 1993.
From Hollywood Pictures, they'd shared a past.
Wad up is my friend.
A trust.
Thanks for always being there, Doc.
And an enemy.
I want your blood.
Together, they fought a battle at the OK Corral the West would never forget.
Oh, my God.
Come on! Kurt Russell is Wyatt Earp. Val Kilmer is Doc Holliday. They're bringing justice to Tombstone. Rated R.
I picked that trailer because what weird music were they playing in the background of that trailer? It's weird.
Yeah, it was kind of all the way not what you would get typically with a 90s trailer.
Or even like a Western. Like, what is this? Like,
sure.
The, what's the one with Will Smith? Wild Wild West? Like, why do we have some weird beat in the background?
Yeah, that was a little strange.
Little weird. This is what you've been waiting for, Sacklunch.
Yes.
Popcorn trivia.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, Pandeo.
All right, I did a lot of research with this, and kind of too much, to be honest. Well, is there too much research on Tombstone? I don't think so. The line quoted by Doc at the end of the fight at the OK Corral is historically true and was reported in the Tombstone papers reporting the fight. When confronted by one of the cowboys at point blank range, the cowboy reportedly said, "I got you now, Doc, you SOB," to which Doc gleefully retorted, "You're a daisy if you do."
That's incredible.
So that was accurate.
Man, I am going to be going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I bet you had so much fun looking all this stuff up.
Dude, yeah. He was really educated, like he was shown in the film. He went to a school that was like taught him Latin and all these different languages, which is wild back then, to be honest. Really educated, very funny guy, and seemed very genuine the way Val Kilmer portrayed him.
Agreed.
Some years after the death of Doc Holliday, Wyatt was quoted in an interview as saying Doc was a dentist, not a lawman or an assassin, whom necessity had made a gambler, a gentleman whom disease had made a frontier vagabond, a philosopher whom life had made a caustic wit, a long, lean, ash-blonde fellow nearly dead with consumption, and at the same time the most skillful gambler and the nerviest, speediest, deadliest man with a six-gun that I have ever known.
That's so awesome. Like, if I could relive it all in that time, that's what I would want on my tombstone, what you just said.
It's so beautiful. And and by the way, we're in spoiler zones. At the end, when Doc gives him that book, did you feel like, where can I read this small little book about Doc Holliday, my friend? I want to read that.
I do want to read that because, I mean, obviously, when it looks like a fairly short read, but
yeah, just like a little pamphlet.
Does it exist? I wonder.
I don't know. That's a puzzle. I'd like to read that book or a pamphlet or I'll call this short story. It looks like a short story. It's no surprise that a lot of this is dealing with Val Kilmer, so it's heavy on him. Val Kilmer practiced for a long time on his quick draw speed and gave his character a Southern aristocrat accent. The Southern accent is an authentic touch, as Holliday was a cousin several generations removed of Margaret Mitchell, author of Gone with the Wind. Huh.
Okay.
So pretty cool that Val did some of that research and kind of made it his own, but also based it in some truth.
I like it.
The way in which Doc Holliday is introduced via first showing his hand flipping a coin before panning up to show his face is almost identical to his appearance in Top Gun. The only difference being it was a pen other than a coin. So kind of a cool throwback.
Yeah. And when I saw him doing that, I thought, man, I wish I could do that.
Oh. I have this thing where I can twirl a pen similar
Around
to
your
that.
thumb?
No, just around my 4 fingers. And I use my thumb to kind of twirl it around. I'm pretty good at that. But I have tried to do the coin. It's hard, dude.
Yeah.
You have to like practice a lot. It's no joke.
I agree. A really cool touch too, as far as like introducing Doc Holliday. Like, what a gangster way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole scene in and of itself is really sets him up as who he is, what his intentions are, how he kind of deals with tension and people getting up in his face. It's really good. My last trivia point. We talked a little bit last week about how Kevin Costner has had a rival film going on, right? There was he's a part of the CAA like actors group.
Guild. Yeah.
It's not the guild. It's like a group where they're represented. It's one of the biggest actors union things that exists.
Okay.
And it's called CAA, so it's his agency. So Kevin Costner was the first choice to play Wyatt Earp, but he turned it down in favor of his own miniseries that he was going to do about Earp, which eventually became the film Wyatt Earp. Both Costner and his producing partner Jim Wilson confirmed that their project would not interfere with Tombstone. But screenwriter Kevin Jarre, who was also the first director before he got fired, was not confident, as his Dracula script had already been shelved after Dracula came out in 1992. Indeed, Tombstone had difficulty securing talent from Costner's agency, the CAA, after his Earp project was announced. Wilson admitted there's no race, but because of the asinine mentality in this town, they won't let 2 pictures about Earp go forward. If I were a gambling man, I'd bet Tombstone doesn't go ahead. Ultimately, Tombstone was released 6 months before Wyatt Earp and was a critical and commercial success, whereas Wyatt Earp was a failure.
Yeah.
And here's to tell you kind of who Kevin Costner is, and you have to be like this to be who he is, to be honest. I don't fault him, but basically he said, the CAA agency, will not cast any actor who is a member of the CAA. So they had to find any actor who was not part of that big group, because he was like, no.
Well, they did well.
Oh, yeah. And another thing, too, is Kevin, he sequestered all of the Western costumes, all of them, so that they would have a hard time getting their wardrobe.
But that can't be too hard. And like, as far as a wardrobe goes, that's a pretty easy one to get.
Well, the ironic thing about that, and Kurt Russell talks about it, I've watched like 17 interviews with him, and he basically said it actually worked to our advantage because we ordered all of our wardrobe from Europe, which is where a lot of these people were buying their clothes from anyway. So he's like, we had really good period authentic pieces that were made from Europe. So it worked out.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's all the trivia I've got. All right. You ready for popcorn beefs?
I am. I would imagine that you, like me, will feel guilty with any beefs that you have.
Listen, I did you dirty on The Last Samurai. I've mentioned that before. But I didn't on The Saint, and I won't let you down with Tombstone, okay? You're going to like these beefs. You're going to like these beefs.
One of them we might like be on the same page, so.
Yeah, I have a couple personal, they're all personal beefs, but I have a couple that are not related to trivia, but yeah, let's jump right in.
Yeah.
Where's the beef? Hey, where's the beef?
Okay. Again, as tradition has it, I've got trivia laced in with these beefs. So, according to Val Kilmer, screenwriter Kevin Jarre insists. So he's the screenwriter, but was the fired director that after 5 weeks or 3 or 4, various interviews that I watched, it was, some people said 3, some people said 4, some people said 5 weeks, but I think it was 5 weeks. Kevin insisted that the actors wear real wool costumes in accordance with the time period. In the birdcage theater scene, Val Kilmer says a thermometer on the set read 134 degrees Fahrenheit. Kilmer suggested jokingly that was the reason Doc Holliday killed so many people. He says it's just like he wore wool in the summer in the Arizona territory, and that made him really mad. So my beef is I like authenticity, okay? But
sure,
none of us are going to be able to tell that this person is wearing wool.
No, I wouldn't imagine. And not everybody's a method actor, right? So it's not like that's going to help them get into character.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, I bet a lot of what you see with Val Kilmer sweating and all that is real now that you know that, but still, I think Val Kilmer of the whole cast is probably the most method actor of the crew, but even still, Kilmer's not like crazy. As you can see by his comment, it's like, hey, I would rather not be wearing wool.
Yeah, I think that's a good beef.
Okay, here's another beef. In 2020, Val Kilmer put an end to the long-standing Huckleberry versus Hucklebearer debate. Did you know that this existed? I did.
I did not know. So, Hucklebearer?
A lot of people thought that he said Hucklebearer, Huckleberry versus Hucklebearer. He claims the line really was written as "I'm your Huckleberry" in the script, meaning I'm your man. You've met your match. Kilmer set the record straight in his autobiography entitled, aptly enough, "I'm your Huckleberry." So Hucklebearer is actually a term, and it was meant to be like a pallbearer. And some people thought, okay, well, he's going to be the one killing you so that he becomes your pallbearer. But
pallbearer, right?
It's Huckleberry, everybody. So pop off.
Yeah, pop off. It's Huckleberry.
Yeah, my beef is with anyone who thinks that it's Hucklebearer.
Never met anybody that has quoted that line as Hucklebearer. So
yeah, well, we've put it to bed here. Okay, on should you watch this?
As we should.
All right, my last beef. Well, actually, I have one more, but it's a small one. But in 1928, Billy Breckenridge published his memoirs of life in Tombstone and the Old West titled Hell Dorado, Bringing the Law to the Mesquite. Wyatt Earp was portrayed as a thief, a pimp, a crooked gambler, and a murderer, contrary to the image Earp has built around himself. Earp loudly protested the book's contents until his death in 1929, and his wife continued afterward. Historical investigations have since proven Breckenridge's description of Earp to be accurate.
Whoa. So
my beef is with Billy Breckenridge and this silly book that kind of made me, I don't want to know that. I know he came from Kansas City where he actually worked at a brothel and all those things. I mean, you're probably not that great of a dude over there, but
if you notice in the movie, like one of the cowboys says that to him. He says, "You and your brothers are a bunch of pimps."
Mm-hmm. To be honest, like he moves in almost like the mafia, and he's basically like, "Hey, I'll be your muscle, but you're going to pay me 25% of all the proceeds here."
Yeah, 100%. Like I don't think that makes him. I guess there's no honor among thieves, but in reverse, it's not as though this time period was exactly virtuous on any level. I don't mean just sexually virtuous. I mean, this is a time period of absolute lawlessness and without consequence at the same time as
pure survival. So I don't think that you can necessarily say, oh, well, he was a piece of shit, because everybody was a piece of shit then.
Yeah, I mean, you had to, like you just said, it's survival of the fittest. Like, even the mere visual of, oh, we'll just swear you in as a lawman, just like that, would just give you a badge. And anyone, they showed the bad guys having badges. Like, it's everyone, he want a badge? Okay, now you can go kill someone and feel okay with it.
Right. Like it's literally your law, whatever your virtues are, whatever your moral compass is, you get to instill on the town. And then somebody else comes around and says, I don't like that. So no, there's a new sheriff in town, and I'm going to instill my morals, my virtues. So yeah, I don't think that lessens him by any stretch.
Yeah, and by the way, Billy Breckenridge from 1928, maybe someone should publish a memoir about you and how you really acted in those days, because everybody sounds like they were like that.
Yeah, like let's open up your closet.
Yeah, like,
and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like everybody was a piece of shit.
I don't know about that, but yeah, everyone probably wasn't as virtuous as the fables come out of the Old West.
Right.
Yeah. So my beef is like, I don't need to know. I mean, unless I'm a historian, which I am not. So I just like the idea of Wyatt Earp. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
I would agree with that.
And I know it's period accurate that he later married that other lady, and Maddie, his wife, who was addicted to laudanum, which, by the way, is basically opium, and she died of an overdose. So I don't need that story. Not the laudanum story. I don't mind that one, because that kind of allows him to be like, hey, I got work to do. Go ahead and go get high, in the house. I don't need the other romantic story that he never really kind of does anything with until the last 2 minutes. I don't know. What do you feel? Like, that was kind of a little bit of a beef for me. I don't really need that.
I think if you're going to have a love interest, you should probably play to it a little bit more. I mean, it kind of lends to the overall struggle and complexity of who Wyatt Earp was.
I mean, I'm okay with it, but I didn't need it.
Agreed. And
there was a weird, like, I watched the trailers, obviously, to pull some of the content for these two shows. And there's a scene where he kind of like, where they're at the picnic. Apparently there was some other stuff filmed that he was more affectionate and like kissing on her and all this stuff. And they cut all that out, which is, I'm fine with too, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What are your beefs?
Okay. I'm not saying that the ladies were ugly, but they just weren't gorgeous. And I just could have used some smoking hotties.
This is a recurring theme with Sacklunch, but I actually, at this time, I actually agree with you. They weren't ugly, but they were just forgettable.
Totally forgettable. And this kind of lends to what you're talking about. Like that love story, like, okay, like I'm not into them, so I can't connect to that part of the story. That was one of my big beefs was give me some cleavage, give me some hotties.
Dude, I'm going to bring this up again, but there was a story, and I didn't put it in my notes, but there was a story of Sam Elliott. He was at the bar, on his time off, and someone went in there to talk to him or interview him or about his experience, and he basically was like really upset because a lot of his lines and Bill Paxton's lines got cut, and a lot of the ladies, their wives' backstories and like other vignettes also got cut, and he was kind of bummed because he didn't get to have as many lines as Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer did. But to be honest, I actually think that framing the story about the relationship between these two guys was much more meaningful to me than to have a lot more story going on with a bunch of other characters.
Yeah, I mean, this was a Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday show, and that's all it needed to be.
Yeah, I love Sam Elliott. I watched 1883. Unbelievable performance by him. And if you want more Sam Elliott, go there, but you're not getting it as much in Tombstone.
I agree.
Which is fine.
Okay, one more beat.
Okay.
At the end with Johnny Ringo, he was such a badass all the way through. Like he matched, okay, maybe didn't quite match, but came 95% of the way to matching the energy of Doc Holliday. And then at the end, Doc shows up instead of Wyatt, and he's over there going, oh, come on. Like I was just, we're just messing around. We don't need to do this. No, man, you be the same character. You're ready for him. You wanted him the entire movie. You wanted this moment with Doc Holliday. It comes, and now all of a sudden you want to be a pussy? I don't think they needed to do him like that. I think they could have had him puff his chest and get excited about that gunfight. That to me was a big beef.
I actually don't mind that. I disagree, but I see where you're coming from. I like the fact that he's like, expecting Wyatt, and they already had a scene where Doc's like, hey, if you go there, he's better than you. Just so you know. And Wyatt's like, well, I got to go anyway, so wish me luck kind of a thing. And I like the fact that Johnny Ringo is like, oh crap, Doc's here. I might not survive this now. He was more confident if he were facing Wyatt versus Doc. And that relationship between Wyatt and Doc is even cemented even further when Wyatt shows up and he's like, oh my gosh, you came. You're basically on death's door, even though he wasn't. And you came for me. It's cool. It was a good moment.
No, I was all for Doc showing up. I just think that he didn't need to regale in that moment because he was nothing but confident the entire movie at Doc Holliday. So, but still that scene, I mean, when he's like right after the bullet goes in the head and he's like, come on. Like, oh man, so good.
Yeah. There's so many, like we mentioned it last week too, that so many moments I was just like, yes.
So many.
Yeah. Well, let's save some of that for the popcorn redemption, but let's get into popcorn puzzles.
A sphincter says what?
What?
A sphincter says what?
What?
Exactly.
Here's a couple crazy puzzles, dude. The scene where he's going after Powers Booth character, I can't remember what his name is, the main guy with
Curly Bill?
The Curly Bill, yeah, the Cowboys. And they're at that river, right? And they're pinned down, essentially. Wyatt just goes out with the shotgun and no bullets hit him. That happened. That was accurate. And people who were there, and even the ones in the movie were like, I can't believe that just happened. What just happened? He just walked out. There was, I don't know how many people are just shooting at him. None of them hit. And then he blows away Curly Bill with 2 shotgun blasts. That was it. So apparently Wyatt Earp died in 1929, having never been so much as scratched by a single bullet. The fact that his name is known above for instance, Virgil's, the Marshal of Tombstone at the time of the famous gunfight, is largely due to Wyatt's self-promotion. Before his death, he walked in Hollywood circles, and John Wayne once claimed that he had met him, apparently modeling his famous walk on that of Wyatt Earp's. So, okay. Yeah, because he moved to California in his later years and kind of was a consultant for Westerns.
Makes sense.
It's kind of cool.
You could see in the movie, like, Wyatt Earp was a businessman.
Yes.
He's going to follow the money.
Yes. I love that. And it hasn't come out yet, but we are going to review Goodfellas on the show. And
yeah.
The Henry Hill guy was obviously a real guy. And he also was that way, but just in the mafia. He was like, wherever the money is, that's where I'm going. And I actually like that about Wyatt. It's like he's entrepreneurial, he's opportunistic,
risk taker.
Yeah. And it goes back to what you were saying last week. Was it last week about how you feel like more of a man after you watch this? You also feel more like inspired to just be better at your job or what you're doing and just like crush it, you know?
Right.
And stop being, like you said, stop being such a pussy. It's like,
don't be a pussy.
So here's another crazy one. I was looking at the cast, and we talked about it last week, but the lawman Wyatt Earp's fifth cousin is in the movie. He plays Billy Claiborne, and his name is Wyatt Earp.
Really?
So they had Wyatt Earp in the movie, and he was playing somebody else, and he's his fifth cousin. Wild.
That's awesome. That is wild. Okay.
Here's my last puzzle. Val Kilmer's line, "I'm your Huckleberry," took on a life of its own and became something of a catchphrase for the actor. This is wild, who used it in many of his subsequent films, but in ways that not anyone would recognize. So in The Saint, he speaks that in Czech. He says, I'm your Huckleberry, but in Czech, in one of his Saint characters.
Okay.
He does it in Alexander 2004. He speaks it in Greek in that movie. And then there's another movie, At First Sight, in 1999. It's written in Braille in a book that he's reading. And then again in Red Planet from 2000, he speaks it in a Martian dialect created for the movie.
I love Easter eggs. I love them.
So cool, dude.
That's beyond cool, bro.
It's the coolest thing that I read the whole time. And I read a lot of interesting stuff about this movie.
That's incredible. Okay.
So cool. But anyway, those are all my puzzles. Did you have any?
No, I think redemption is right on.
Awesome.
I have exorcised the demons.
Let's talk about all the things that we liked about Tombstone. I'm not going to lie, when Kurt Russell says his line, you know, tell him justice is coming and hell's coming with him.
Yeah.
I almost stood up and was like, yes.
Started clapping.
Oh my gosh. I felt like so awkward because I'm like, I want to do this and no one's here. And okay, I won't, but I did it in my mind.
Okay. I did as well. So you're in good company.
And there was this moment where right as I heard that, it like cemented everything that had happened. Because there were moments where I won't say that it was a slow movie, but there was a lot of just living in the town and doing different things. And there wasn't like action every second. It was still there was a slower burn to get to that moment. And I also love the fact that the OK Corral happened at about the hour 10-minute mark-ish, like in the middle of the movie. Right. That was sick.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because when I saw it, I was like, oh crap, the movie's over. And then I look at my watch and I'm like, yes, I got another hour. I was so excited.
Right.
So that was really cool. I like that was how they did that. I love the montage. There's like 3 of them where they go and kill people. It's not just one. There's multiple, and it's exhilarating.
Fun.
I love the slow motion. I love there's a moment where one of the cowboys, they're chasing him and it's in slow motion, and he pulls his red sash off and it like kind of floats in the air and drops. Oh, it's so cool.
So cool.
I love the town. I don't know where they filmed it. I should have looked that up, but it felt very authentic to me. I loved the wardrobe. It's very good.
Didn't it, like for those listeners in Utah that are of the same age, and I think I heard they brought this back, but Lagoon having the old shootout in the old western town, was the best. And this it had that same vibe.
Yeah,
it almost felt like a live action. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, all the stunt work. Yeah, dude.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid, that was like one of other than a couple of the rides that I wanted to hit and like the churros, it was called Pioneer Village.
Yep, Pioneer Village.
And there was
highlight.
These, it was like an old town, and they would do this show, and I loved it.
Loved it. It was incredible. Like they would fall off of buildings into hay. Like, it was so cool. It just had the same vibe to me.
Yeah. I watched this. Oh man, it was like 25 minutes. I don't know. I spent too much time on this. A guy that was basically giving his travel tips to go to Tombstone. And I was just sitting there like, I'd go to that. I'd do that. Yep. I'd go there. And
what if it was Wyatt from the reviews?
Probably. And anyway, it's probably terrible, but they have a reenactment of the OK Corral at the OK Corral. And I'd like to go see that.
I would too.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm sure it's just a bunch of old guys that like aren't that great, but I'd love to check it out.
I agree.
What else did you like about it?
Val Kilmer, we kind of, for those that listen to the Saint podcast, I just think he's a completely underrated actor. And this particular character, like when the movie is centered on Wyatt Earp, but he comes in and takes the most climactic moment of the movie, it just speaks to just how great he is. And this character, I don't think there's a man alive that doesn't watch that and go, I want to be that guy. I want to be him. So that was definitely something for me. I made reference to it last week, where I love that this is now an old Western. Mm-hmm. Like when I was young and there was the old Westerns, I love that I just in 1993 watched something from the late 50s, early 60s. Like, I love that I just got to do that today. Yeah. So that was also something that I think made this super special. Again, the score in this, it wasn't like a Dances with Wolves score or anything like that. It just was an ode to how movies used to be done. And so it was very nostalgic for me as well. So I would say those are kind of the big pieces for me that just had me so excited over this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, thinking about it, because it is 35 plus years old. More. It was almost 40 years old.
Well, 32.
Or 32. Okay. Listen, math's hard for me. This isn't this is not a math podcast.
I said it a couple times already, but it's cool.
But it's an older movie, okay? And yes. I like that. That nostalgia, that idea of, okay, this is an old movie now, and we're enjoying it that way, and it's kind of that's really cool.
Really cool. Agreed.
I wanted to read this. This is kind of my like final redemption. Is Val Kilmer wrote in 2017 that Kurt Russell was a major influence in the directing of this film, and that he was solely responsible for Tombstone's success, no question. A month into production, Kevin Jarre was replaced as director after he became overwhelmed in the duty and fell behind in the schedule. So they brought in this guy, Cosmatos, George P., and hit the ground running. He didn't have any preparation. He just came in and started directing. And according to Kilmer, he says, I was there every minute, and although Kurt's version differs slightly from mine, the one thing he's totally correct about is how hard he worked the day before for the next day's shot list, and tremendous effort he and I both put into editing, as the studio wouldn't give us any extra time to make up for the whole month that we lost with the first director. So that means those 5 weeks, they were asked, like, hey, can we have an extra 5 weeks since this guy, we're not going to use any of this because we're changing the film. And they're like, nope, you have the same production schedule. So they had to compress it, which makes this even more amazing.
More impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So he
That's
says,
a great look.
I watched Kurt sacrifice his own role and energy to devote himself as a storyteller, even going so far as to draw up shot lists to help our replacement director, who came in with only 2 days prep. Russell admitted as much in a 2006 interview with True West magazine when the actor said he made it clear to the studio brass he did not want his name listed as the director, but that he did help out behind the scenes quite a bit. So that was like the biggest reveal to me, is despite all that turmoil, he was able to really bring it together and really let Val Kilmer shine. And I'm just bummed that he didn't win for.
Which goes to my point that like Val Kilmer stole the show at the end, and Kurt Russell still shined.
Correct. I'm trying to figure out who won. It was Gene Hackman for Unforgiven. But maybe, would that have been for 1992?
I don't even know what Unforgiven is.
Oh, it's a really good Western by Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I've probably seen it.
Yeah. It's good. It's really good. But I guess technically it would be the next year because it's always a year behind. So Tommy Lee Jones won for The Fugitive for Best Supporting. Nah, please. I love Tommy Lee Jones, but Val Kilmer deserved to win either year if it was Gene Hackman year or Tommy Lee Jones.
I would agree.
Oh, man, that's a miss right there.
Like, it's hard to shine. And again, Kurt Russell shined. Mm-hmm. But who did you walk away thinking was the coolest character?
It was
Doc
Holliday.
100%.
Yeah, he puts...
So that to me is the epitome of supporting actor. Like, that's the best supporting actor. It's the very definition.
And he put so much into the role. And there's this scene, I looked it up because I was kind of puzzled by this. I probably should have put it in Popcorn Puzzles. My bad. It's my show, so who cares? So the thing is when he's dying in Colorado, Kurt Russell Wyatt comes to visit him, and he forces him to go, which is, man, so sad. That's where I'm like trying to fight the tears. And he looks down at his feet, and apparently, and he makes this, well, I'll be, or so something like that. Well, there's this thing that Doc Holliday was quoted as saying, "I'm going to die with my boots on," and he didn't. And so this little nuances that you would never have known. He knew about that and put that into this, the script to help push the character even more. It's just really cool.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wasn't expecting, to be honest, this is a good segue into our rating. I was I'd seen it before. I'm like, yeah, this is a large bucket. No, this is a golden bucket.
Of course. I don't think there's any question that you need to ask me what this is for me.
I mean,
that's a double gold.
It's a double golden, which we don't do. I mean, I think we've only done it twice.
Back to back.
This is back to back for Saint. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just felt there was just so much feeling for me afterwards. And it's not just like, there are movies that are really good and you're not going to go watch them again. Like Dances with Wolves. I don't own Dances with Wolves. I don't either. I don't watch it every year or every other year or whatever. But Tombstone is a movie that I will be watching more frequently.
100%.
So,
and again, what do we want to go to a movie for, right? We need to escape. It needs to solicit emotion. I need to be the hero. I need to feel the pain. I need that from a movie. And this just gave it on so many levels. But at the end of the day, I walked away from it just feeling like a man but in a way of like, hey, I need to be a man, a better man, like a virtuous man, a protector. Like I need to be a no nonsense man.
Almost like the moment where Wyatt Earp's, you might as well swear me in. Like he didn't want to do it. He pushed back so long, and finally he's like, I mean, everyone's doing this, and they're my brothers. I better do it, even though I don't want to.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff in life that I would say 90% of the things you do in life, you don't want to, but you got to.
You don't want to do it, but you got to.
Yeah.
So be a man about it.
Beat Wyatt Earp and just get it done.
Yes, sir.
Any parting thoughts?
This one, all of them are a pleasure, but this one really is on another level. I was so excited. I knew I was going to like watching the movie and doing the pod because I always love it.
Yeah.
But halfway through the movie, it was like, oh my God, this is an experience. Like this whole, we're going to talk about it. He's going to lay down all these amazing things on the pod. We're going to talk about him. And this movie's incredible. This was like a day that I will remember later in life.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. I want to leave you with this little story that I heard from Kurt Russell. It was one of those like Vogue or Hollywood Reporter. I can't remember, the GQ or something. And they're asking about his career, and he was older. He was like a couple years ago, and they're showing him a picture of the four of them walk like from the movie poster. He's like, oh man, he's like, that was a hard shoot. And I spent a lot of time working on that. And he says, I love Billy, called Bill Paxton. And he's like, I formed a really strong bond with Val Kilmer. And then he says, Sam Elliott, it's funny knowing what we heard earlier about what he said in the bar. He's like, Sam Elliott, he's like, I love Sam. And he's like, I call him affectionately Eeyore because he's kind of grumpy a little bit. And he's like, you know what I did at the end of our final day of shooting? He's like, my horse. And he said his name had a horse, and he said his name. He's like, I miss that horse to this day. And he's like, I went to the Wrangler and I said, I'm going for a ride. And it says, I know I'm not supposed to, and there's all these rules, but no one can catch me on this horse, so try. And he gets on the horse, and he's like, I went for a ride, an hour-long ride with this horse, and it was the best kind of cathartic way of dealing with how hard the shoot was and kind of having this moment with this horse. And that was so cool. It's just an amazing story. It's just awesome. So with that, That's it for this week. But I'm with you always. Please help me out by sharing this. I'm trying to get monetized on Spotify, so it just takes a ton of downloads and a lot of people listening. So get out there and share it if you can. And thanks to my special guest, the extreme southerner down in Brazil. he's the deep south.
Would I be a southern gentleman then?
You are a deep southern gentleman. Sacklunch.
As always, brother. Like it's like I just said, man. This is an experience today that I'll remember later in life. You're just a consummate professional. Love doing it, so thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. When you watch movies, you can pop in, you can pop out, or even pop off. But when you do, always bring the popcorn. We'll see you next time.
You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!